When you think about Los Angeles, you probably think of palm trees, movie stars, beaches. But you probably don't think about oil fields. Long before the movies came to rule the city, Los Angeles was an oil town. By 1930, California was producing nearly 1/4 of the world's oil, with about half coming from the Los Angeles oil field. Today, oil and gas extraction continues in dozens of Los Angeles communities. In LA County, there are more than 3,000 active wells, with about 2,000 miles of underground pipelines for transport. For example, the Inglewood oil field is the largest urban oil field in the United States, and the Wilmington oil field is the third highest producing field in the country. Throughout LA, 1.7 million people live or work within 1 mile of an active well. In many cases, ongoing oil and gas operations are located in lower-income communities of color, so health problems from the industry pose a greater threat to African Americans, Latinos, and other communities of color. In fact, 5 of the 6 oil fields that are entirely within the boundaries of the city of Los Angeles have been identified as environmental justice communities that suffer from an undue burden of pollution. Recently, the Center for Environmental Health held a symposium in Los Angeles among grassroots groups, researchers, and other health advocates to discuss the health hazards from oil and gas operations, particularly in light of risky new technologies the industry has adopted to boost production. People from 11 states representing more than 20 national and local nonprofit organizations joined together for the event, which featured a bus tour sponsored by CEH and Physicians for Social Responsibility. The tour took the group to 3 Los Angeles environmental justice neighborhoods where ongoing oil and gas production threatens the community's health. Local activists from the neighborhoods joined us on the tour, which highlighted the residents' longtime concerns about oil and gas operations in LA. We visited the area around the Alencon oil field, in a residential community that includes 9 schools and early childcare facilities. At Alenco, after 3 years, numerous protests, and more than 250 complaints filed to state officials, the EPA finally sent regulators to assess the residents' health concerns. The EPA officials were literally sickened by the industry's pollution. EPA temporarily shut the facility, but Alenco is planning to reopen the site against the community's objections. The neighborhood surrounding the Jefferson oil field was our next stop. In 1 year, Freeport-McMoRan, the operator of the Jefferson field, reported using more than 133,000 pounds of acids and toxic chemicals, including chemicals known to cause cancer and birth defects, just feet from neighboring homes. Freeport-McMoRan pumps thousands of pounds of toxic acids underground without notifying residents. The company even asked the state to waive the requirement for a public hearing when it requested permission to drill 7 days a week, 24 hours a day at the facility. Our last stop was the Murphy site, an oil and gas operation immediately adjacent to an AIDS Healthcare Foundation health clinic and in a neighborhood with a special needs high school, an elementary school, a hospice facility, and a senior housing complex. Since 2013, residents have complained of respiratory problems, chronic nosebleeds, skin and eye irritation, and headaches. In July 2015, over 100 children marched in protest of the oil and gas pollution in the neighborhood. That protest was organized by Stand LA, a coalition of LA community groups fighting the oil and gas industry's dirty operations. At the Murphy site, Stand LA member Pastor Kevin Sauls from the Holman United Methodist Church told us about the group's concerns.
Glad to be part of Stand. We're really very excited about that, and that's a very, very powerful community, catalytic group that we have formed around, neighborhood drilling, and we follow them, and we really work with, several other organizations and neighbors around, this particular site. And as you can see, close to the site, we have several vulnerable communities. Right, on the other side is a whole apartment, Section 8 apartment community.
CEH is committed to ending the oil and gas industry's polluting operations. Our work aims to end practices like fracking and other risky new oil and gas technologies, like acidification, that are now widely used throughout Los Angeles and in many other areas. We also work in support of renewable energy solutions that don't pose threats of global climate change, and we promote clean energy technologies that will allow us to keep fossil fuels where they belong, in the ground.
West side.